Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to Inner Healer. I'm Shakri, and today we're going to be talking about dreams. That's why we in this like little ambiance that we in, like little dark setting when you're in the dream world. It was just like a little vibe, you know. That's what I thought. So that's why we are in here like this, and I just wanted to like kind of touch base on like my interpretation of dreams and how like I've come to the conclusion about my dreams. Like I've always been the person who had dreams. Like I can remember as far back as like being 6 years old and having dreams, and honestly seeing the dreams and actually then seeing them play out in real life. And I remember saying to my grandma, I remember this one time I said to my grandma, that like I had woke up out of my sleep, and I had like in my dream I had fell, and like it was like I just was falling and I couldn't catch myself. And I was actually falling off the bed. I was in a bed with my grandma. I was actually falling off the bed. But then like she was like, "You was dreaming, baby?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, well, let she said something along the lines of like, let go. Like you can't control that. Like you can't control that. Next thing you know, my mom was moving. We were moving. So that was like the anxiety of me not having total control of where I was going to live. Like I was going to have to move. Like, and it was like so, like in that dream, it was like so real. And that's the very first dream that I ever remember having. Like that's the dream from my childhood that started off like all of my dreams. And at the time when she said that, I didn't know. But I mean, honestly, if you look up falling, like the definition, like the dream definition of falling, like it says that, like, let go of some, like basically along the lines of let go what you can't control. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like when I think back on it, I'm like, wow, grandma, okay, grandma, okay. But yeah, so like that's something, like your dreams are real. Like your dreams are real. Now, sometimes you won't remember your dreams. So what do you have to do to remember your dreams? Honestly, you have to like really keep a dream journal so that you can know what is happening. Like, well, not know what is happening, more so that you can have the dream, and as soon as you wake up, as soon as you come into the conscious state, you will basically like write it down. Like you write it down, you either, well, I suggest getting the actual journal and writing with manuscript. Why? Because there's a trigger in your brain that starts to recall things when you put pen to paper versus typing it, in your notes on your phone. So I would recommend honestly to write it down. So get an actual dream journal and get a pen and keep it right next to your bed or wherever you sleep. Like just keep it right next to you. And when you come into the conscious state, like just write down whatever you remember. And things will start to make sense for you. Why? Because your dreams are telling you a story. They're most times they're not in the literal sense. So you have to make out what the dream is actually telling you. But they're actually telling you a story. And the story is something that you have to put together. You have to know what pieces go where. Like I was telling back in the dream that I had, like it was basically like we're moving, and like, this is my mom, so I have to live with my mom. Like I can't continue to live with my grandma. So that was like, it was, I remember that dream. But then like, I just started, after that, I don't think I dream every night. I know that I don't dream every night. But when I do have dreams, they're very profound and they tell a story. I I dreamt of my husband before I met him. Before I met him, I seen a guy in my dream. He had on tan and he had a beard, but I couldn't see his face. I never seen his face in my dream. Like in my dream, I never see faces. That's another thing for myself with my dreams. I never see faces. So sometimes you might not actually see the face, but you can feel the energy of the person in the dream. And I never had met this man before. Like I had never met him before. And I was a teenager and he was in my dream. And in the dream, it was just like comfort. It just felt so warm and welcoming and comforting. And like, it was just like, I felt safe. And it was like, I didn't know why, like, but I knew that that was my husband. Like, the energy was like, security, like husband, like, love. It was just a warm feeling. And I remember the first time that I met him, I didn't realize it was him. No, because I had met him like years later. It was like 5, 6 years later when I had met him. So it was like, I didn't remember. Well, no, the first time I had met him, it was probably like 4 years later. But it was still like time in between, and I didn't know it was him. But then the second time I met him, I knew that it was him. I knew that it was him. I remembered him. I remembered the energy. I knew it was him. And I was like, I said to my friend that I was with, and I was like, that's my husband right there. And she laughed it off, brushed it off. And I was like, no, I'm serious. That's my husband right there. And I remember like we had started talking. We started talking, and we were just in conversation, and it was like, it just felt so like, it felt so familiar. Like, it was like, it wasn't like deja vu, but if the energy felt familiar coming from him. And when we walked away, I said to her, I was like, I'm going to marry him, watch. And she laughed it off again. And then a couple of days later, one of my other friends that knew about the dream, like, because we were friends for a long time, so she knew about the dream. And I had went to her and I said, you remember the dream? And I told you that I dreamt of my husband? And she like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I just seen him a couple of days ago. And she like, what? Where? And I told her like where I seen him, like what he was doing, like the conversation that we had. And she was like, well, did you get his number? And I was like, no, what you thought I was going to like push up on him? And like, it was more so like, she went, got his number, like we had started talking, and like a year later we got married, and that's been my husband ever since. So yeah, dreams are real and they tell a story. You just have to know what story it's telling to you. And you can dream of something years prior and it doesn't play out, until years later. So that's why it's also good to keep a dream journal, so that you can resort back to your dream journal and remember these energies, these colors, the faces, if you see faces, the like scenery, the scenario, like, so that you can just remember the things that are happening in that dream, so that when you actually do go back to it, like, it's like, oh wow, this is happening. It's happening. And when it's happening, like in the 3D room, like versus being in your sleep state, like, it's like, whoa, this is like something that's powerful, to like dream something and it actually happens. No matter what it is, you dream it and it actually happens. Like, I remember, like Drake said, like, the power of the mind is not a joke. Said that I would do it and I did. That's really, really true. Because in a dream, you're dreaming of something. And just like they say, dreams come true. Like, make your dreams reality. Like all these different slogans, like, pay attention to your dreams. All of these people are telling you to pay attention to your dreams. Even, and then astrology has been around, and we're not even realizing that that's what it is. When they say like the matriarchs in the family, when they dream of fish, that means someone is pregnant. Okay, Pisces is the fish. Pisces deals with your dreams. The 12th house is the dream house. So you're in your dream with Pisces, 12th house, and they say, remember, they say, like I said, they say they dream of fish and someone is pregnant. So when it's that's astrology. You're in the 12th house when you're dreaming of the fish. And then even take it a step further, when you get pregnant, they tell you to keep it to yourself until you're further along, so that you're past the stage of miscarrying, losing a baby. So that's also 12th house, the house of hidden things. You're essentially, that's what you're doing when you're not telling people that you're pregnant. You're hiding it. And it's like, wow. So astrology has been here all along, and we just never paid attention to it because no one broke it down to us like that. No one ever told it to us like that. Then like the dream, like when you're in the dream state, in the dream dimension, imagine the people like the psychics who throw cards, who can see things, like seers, anybody that can see things, like their eyes are closed. Well, their eyes are open, but they're seeing something through a different eye. That's your third eye. They're seeing through the third eye. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And then even to go back on to what I was saying about Drake, like the Pisces rules Hollywood, Pisces rules like movies, like the streams. Some people will say that Aquarius rules that, or Uranus rules that. I can see that, but I also can see Pisces ruling it too, because remember Pisces is entertainment as well as Leo, but Pisces is entertainment. So when you're thinking of Hollywood films, Hollywood streams, Hollywood period, you will think of Pisces, because if you really think about it, a lot of these people in Hollywood, they have either a lot of Neptune, they're Pisces, they are prominent sun people, or they're Leos. Like that's where you're going to find the Hollywood people. So like that's another thing. Like all of this stuff is just like coming, and it's like real enlightening. It's like, wow, like your dreams are way more real than you even realize. You're seeing things and you're not even realizing why you're seeing. And then also when you think about deja vu, like people be like, oh, this feels like deja vu. That you probably dreamt this scenario before, and then now it's playing out in real life, and you already starred in this movie. Whoa, hold up, Pisces. You already starred in this movie because it was in your dream, and now it's playing out in your reality. And then like a lot of times your dreams are also your unconscious mind, but the way you really feel about life. Like, so imagine when people are having nightmares, it's like a lot of times it's because they ate something before bed. Like they say like cheese, pasta, red meats, things like that. You eat these things, drink milk, anything meat or dairy, basically. Like they'll tell you that. And it's like, whoa, like, okay, so basically if you eat anything before bed, like right before bed, like a lot of times people are having nightmares. And if you're stressing during your awake hours, then you'll be having nightmares. If there's tension in your body about something, you're having nightmares. It's like your dreams are your unconscious mind. They're the things that you're literally thinking of before you go to sleep, and they're playing out. Or they're things that like you aren't even aware that you're thinking of, or things that you aren't aware that are about to happen. And it's like when a nightmare comes, though, the nightmare is more so your conscious mind when you're stressing, because when you're stressed, don't you overeat, when you're like tense about something, like just when you feel like things are going wrong, they'll show up in your dreams and they'll come up as nightmares. That's why when you are having nightmares, it's when you're going through the most tension in your life, the most turmoil. That's when you have the most nightmares. And it's like basically your fears, like what you fear happening is coming to pass in your dreams. Now, on the flip side, when we're talking about maybe blissful dreams or dreams that we aren't aware of happening in the future, it's like we dream it and then it happens. But in a nightmare, it's like it's happening in real life as far as the tension, not the actual dream playing out, but the tension. And then when we go to sleep, we're dreaming of the worst possible outcome for that action that's happening. So then it turns into a nightmare. Like if you go back in this channel, you'll see all the angel number videos. And that's because those are dreams also. Those are things that's happening in your dreams, because these people that you're connected with in the spiritual realm are trying to contact you and tell you something, and they're giving it out to you with angel numbers. So when you see the angel numbers, you want to know what they mean so that you can know what message is being sent to you, and also write those down in your journal, because you want to know like when these things come to pass, or if these things are happening right now. Like you just want to know. So always keep, like, maybe even if you keep a small little like if you keep like a small little, those small little notebooks and a pen, like just keep it with you. Like you can put those small ones if you're a guy, like you can put those in your, in your back pocket or something, you know what I'm saying? They the size of a wallet. And females, like you can put it in your purse. So just keep it with you so that when you're seeing the angel numbers, also you're writing it down. You're writing it down, what's happening at that time, like how you're feeling at that time, what you see around you at that time, like who's with you at that time, like anything that you think will be significant, write it down so that you can remember it later on. Keep it in your back pocket so you fully prepare when it happens. You're like, oh yeah, nothing to a giant, you know what I'm saying? Like I already knew this was about to happen. And then you have some people who are always connected to the dream world. They say daydream. You're sitting in a daze and you're in a daydream. Like some people have those. I remember being in school and I used to daydream sometimes in school, but I was always the kind of student where I wanted to know what the teacher was talking about. So when I would drift off into a daydream, I would be so mad. I would be so mad. But even those dreams, even those moments where it would just like, I would just see something, and then most times the stuff that I seen, it will always happen right after school. Like I'd be like, oh my, I knew this was going to happen. That's so crazy. Me being an adult and being conscious of what was happening back then, like at the time, I didn't know what was happening. I just knew that I would have dreams and I would be able to know when something was about to happen. I could feel it. I will always be able to feel stuff. But knowing what I know about my dreams now, knowing that I know that they're real, that they're happening, that they're going to happen, oh baby. I always tell y'all, I keep a notebook anyway, but I always write my dreams down. I always write them down because I want to know if they're going to come to pass. Like, it's exciting. Like, it's really exciting to know, like, yo, this is happening because I dreamt this. Like, I remember this happening. I was reading this book by Robert Haas a couple of years ago. It's called Dream Language or something like that. Look that book up because it's really interesting. It's really, really interesting. I read the book and like everybody has their own interpretation of dreams and how they perceive their dreams. And he believes that we dream in color. He believes that we dream in color and that a lot of times we don't remember our dreams or we assume that they're not in color. And remember back when I told you about my husband, it was tan, and it felt so comforting. Well, odd enough, the color tan is a color of security. It's a color of comfort. It's a color of stability. And this is my husband. And what does your spouse bring? It's amazing. So when I connected that book to like a lot of my dreams, it was like, whoa, this makes sense. A lot of it makes sense. And it also, he even believes that a lot of us don't, and I know this to be true because a lot of people don't remember their dreams. He believes that like 25% of us, only 25% of us recall our dreams. So a lot of people are not even remembering their dreams. That's why it's very important to have that dream journal so that when you wake up, the first thing that you do is start to write. Well, you give thanks for waking, obviously, but then you start to write. Just start to write. Some people tell you to be careful with that because when you free write, you never know what you're going to write down. I say, me personally, I can't tell you what to do. I know I can tell you to probably write down your dreams because it'll give you the story of your life. But I free write because I want to know what my dreams are about. I want to know. And I want to know because honestly, like, I dream of a lot of different things. Sometimes they don't even make sense, obviously, until they do, right? And a lot of times my dreams are people that I know that are familiar with me, but sometimes they're people that I don't know. My husband was somebody that was unfamiliar to me at the time until he was familiar to me, right? And I don't see faces in my dreams. I feel energies. So when that person is around me, I know that it's them because I can feel their energy. The energy is familiar, it's present. And I just have to remember if I remember like who they are. Like, but a lot of times like my unconscious mind will tell my conscious mind, like, you know this person. And the dream will come back. So that's pretty interesting. I would like you guys to tell me about your dreams. Maybe don't tell me about your dreams because another thing that I learned, and this is something that I learned from religion, but you don't tell anyone your dreams until they come to pass. Now, I don't know if I wholeheartedly still believe that. Some things I do, but a lot of things, it's like a 50-50. Some things I won't tell anyone, and in some things I will. I just will. It's just me, like, picking and choosing what I want to tell people that I dream about, honestly. But yeah, if you want to sound off in the comments, tell me about your dreams. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Peace.